Hi, this is Bonnie, and today, I don't know why, but I'm just in a mood for making a card background and using some Distress Oxide ink. So I'm just going to go ahead and get started with that background and see what we come up with. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you as I'm using the colors. I'm going to start with Distress Oxide Speckled Egg, and I am just going to make a circle here in the center, which will probably be our light source. And I knew this color wasn't going to be really dominant, but it's okay because it's still going to give us my starting point. And like I said, I'm just making a circle, and I don't care that there's some part of it that's darker or lighter because it's all going to work out. I am going to make it a little bit bigger. So it's just figuring out, you know, the circle part of it, and it doesn't have to be perfect. You're just kind of like playing with it. Now, if you're really uncertain about making a size of a circle, you can always really lightly sketch with a pencil if you want to, just knowing that you'll have to probably erase it. But it's just easier not to have to deal with that. And so you just randomly make the circle. All right, so that's what we're going to start with. All right, so then, knowing that that's kind of like what I want to do, I do have a die cut circle, and this one is about 4 inches. And I probably should go just a little bit smaller because I can see my size, but it's all right. I'm going to go ahead and use that, and I will fill it in with more Distress Oxide ink, the Speckled Egg, as I need it. So the next colors I am going to be using will be, let's see here, I am going to go with Tattered Rose because it's a lighter color, and it will go great next to this light blue. So I am going to use this as my mask. And like I said, I'm probably going to have to bring it in closer, but that's okay. We're going to rotate that a little bit. And this, and I've done this before, it will pick up the color that you have on your cardstock, your circle. If you have any color there, it'll lightly pick that up. And I'm okay with that. But just keep that in mind that if it's part of your color scheme and you don't want that color in there, start with just a blank white cardstock circle. So I want to make sure I can see this color because it's important. Okay. All right. So like I said, you can see that the 2 colors there are going. I'm going to come back with my Speckled Egg and kind of fill that in so that it meets up with what I've got going on there. I mean, it's all right that it overlaps because the colors together kind of will make a purple cast. And that's okay. But I just had to have a little bit I wanted a little bit in the center, so I had some idea. You can do this a different way. I mean, you could have done the halo of the Tattered Rose and then just come back in if you wanted to. It didn't really matter. But this also gives me a little bit of white, you know, on the edge. So, and I really do like that it's not a solid, you know, really soft or solid speckled egg. Okay, because the moon really isn't perfectly solid in color. It has some texture. So then the next color that I'm going to go ahead and use is going to be Spice Marmalade. And how I'm going to do that is I'm going to use the same, let me see, I've got an orange brush, yeah. This though has a little bit, it works. Okay, so this one I know is a little bit juicier, so I'm going to be a little bit softer with that. Blending that in. I'm going to have to again come back in with a little bit of that Tattered Rose. I knew this color was going to be a little bit bright, but that's okay because I have a color that's coming next that will probably soften that a little. All right, so I'm going to come back in with my Tattered Rose. Sorry about my arm there. Tattered Rose. I've got some things over here that keeps attaching, okay. Okay. I just want that to blend in a little bit better. Okay, I think that's it. Didn't want that harsh transition. Okay, so then the next color will be, we're going to be using Worn Lipstick. That's a little bit darker color as well. And I'm just going to come around the outside of that. I want to blend those colors in as well. It's a different combination, but I really liked it. I saw the combination on Pinterest, and I thought, I mean, their color was a lot darker, but I thought, I'm going to give this a try, because I really thought it was pretty. Kind of overlapping there a little bit, but that's okay. All right, almost all the way around. Okay, so I'm going to come back again with the last color, which was a Spice Marmalade, and try to blend that in a little bit. I think I'm going to need a little bit more of the Worn Lipstick too. Okay, so we are going to do the Worn Lipstick one more time. And then I think we're going to have our combination of what I want. So we'll have our background. Okay, so the next thing that I want to do, I think that's good. I want to show you what that looks like. Let's go up just a little bit. And so that's the look that I was going for, getting that all together, blended out in those colors. So the next thing, and the color would be a little bit darker blue, but I'm going to save that because I'm not sure how I'm going to use that. I think I kind of like where I'm at. So far I'm going to stop. The next thing I want to do is I want to use a Fairy Hugs stencil. Now, this stencil is called, I believe, Fairy Spiral. I'll have to double check that, but for sure I will have that in my description below, and so that you'll know for sure I'll have that link. What I want to do is I want to take away a little bit of that color. And so what I'm going to do is I am going to spritz my brush. I'm not going to spritz on here. And I'm going to take away a little bit of this color through the stencil. So I'm just going to brush through really lightly, not on the light source. I'm just brushing a little bit away from the color on the outside. And we'll take a peek and see how that's working. So that's what happens when you do that. So I'm then going to go to put just a little bit more water on my brush, and I'm going to go to the other side, and I'm just going to, like I said, ever so lightly brush away some of that ink. Okay, we're going to take a peek. And so that's working the way I wanted it to work. And I'm going to show you what that looks like up close. I did go over the moon a little bit, but all I did was use a little bit of water and take that away. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and dry that a little bit so that it doesn't continue, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I want to explain to you what happened. There is a little bit of residue on my stencil. So the reason why you are seeing this part of it is because there's just a little bit of that on my stencil, and that is something I didn't know I was going to be able to do, and I really, really like that. However, I mean, it's just what's been left over that didn't get cleaned off really well. I still want a little bit more. I can see that I need a little bit more of that taken away. And so I'm kind of lining this back up, and I'm gonna use a little bit more water, and I'm gonna try to take a little bit more of that away. And I just, like I said, I want to do this step by step. I didn't want to go gung-ho and put a bunch of water on here, but I want to take a little bit more away because I want to be able to see that. But I'm really excited about that discovery of adding that ink up above. So FYI, if you want to purposefully do this, have your stencil have a little bit of that residue of another color, and the color that's showing up is chipped sapphire. And that's really cool. I'm just trying to make sure this is really picking it off. But it's a great discovery of that combination of taking off and adding, just because my stencil was a little dirty. Yay. All right, so let's take a closer look at that. So that's really cool, and it's just with water, if you can see that. So, okay, so we're gonna go ahead and dry this off and be ready for our next step. Okay, so the second part is gonna be fairly simple. It's just some stamping, and I'm going to be using the Book Tree Library, which is from the new release, the book release, and I'm going to be using one of the mini cats. I'm going to be using this one, and I'm going to be using Fairy Hugs and Fairy Words, and I'm going to use Happy Birthday. So I'm just going to go ahead and set that up, and we'll do some stamping. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and show you how the layout's going to go. It's pretty simple, and then we're going to have the Happy Birthday up above, like the cat's kind of looking at the sentiment. So we're going to do the tree first, and in this circumstance, you can or you cannot, if you want to, depends on what you want to do. If you don't have to, not cannot, you do not have to color in the books in the tree. I mean, it's just if you want to do some coloring. So I'm going to be using VersaFine Clear Nocturne for all 3 of these stamps. And I know it's a little bit more difficult to stamp on top of Oxide as opposed to the ink. So we're going to let that sit on it just a little bit. I did heat set it, but still it can, you never know. Yeah, I need to get that center. See if the ink will come off. I did a little bit more. I'll ink it up again. Yep, we'll just add a little bit more ink. Okay, let's see if we got it that time. Yeah, that looks really good. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and add the cat and get that set up. I want to make sure I have the sentiment up there so that I know how that's going to work. I think we're going to go over the tree where it kind of fits in there. And then the cat will be kind of like looking up. I'm taping when I don't have the natural light and I have to use the light overhead, and it's a little bit harder for me to see. All right, so we'll go ahead and get those stamped up. I might have to do the cat a second time because it is a solid stamp there. Yeah, although his fur is showing up really nicely. All right, happy birthday looks good. Give him a little bit more inking. Here we go. All right. So unless you want to do some coloring, we have totally completed this card, other than putting it on a card base, which we need to do. And it looks like I'm going to have to fill that little piece in right there. Sometimes that happens. You got to be careful when you take off, if you use washi tape or any type of tape, that it's not going to pull away your ink. And up there, I'm going to have to fix that, which won't be hard. I'll just pull out the blending brush. All right. So there we go. We'll have a card all completed. And again, if you want to add color, you can add color. But I am really liking the way that looks. So I just wanted to say thanks for stopping by. I hope I inspired you to try a different background and put a different combination together. I will have the information for you that what I used in the description below.